Hey everyone, if you want to make your own podcast but you don't know where to begin, Spotify for Podcasters makes it super easy. They've got everything in one place, it's totally free, and you can make money while doing it. Here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start doing it today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and pretty much everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also supported, and you can even conduct polls and Q&As. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, the platform is totally free. No catch, totally free. When I wanted to start my own podcast, I did not know where to begin, and I didn't think it was even possible. And Spotify for Podcasters made it happen. They made it easy, they made it quick, and I am doing something that I love. What more can I ask for? So if you're interested in starting your own show, you can do it, and I highly recommend you give this a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Everything Kratom, the podcast about anything and everything Kratom. Good to have you here with us on this Tuesday morning. Thought today we would talk a little bit about the Utah Kratom Consumer Protection Act, because I think that the model is really stellar, actually, give or take. There's always some downsides, but I think that it's a great model overall for regulation. If there's going to be regulation of Kratom, I think that it protects the consumer, younger people, and I do think that it protects the producers as well, because if something were to happen with a Kratom product and it gets in the news, yada yada yada, it doesn't end up becoming one of those stories where, you can trace it back to a producer that had put terrible things in there, or it was a sketchy product, or, so on and so on. Some random smoke shop that had salmonella in its Kratom, which I've heard of that happening before. So I think that it kind of protects everyone all around, and it's a good idea. So I'm just going to go through a few different points of it today, and love to hear what you think about it. So hopping in, Utah passed this Protection Act in 2019, and it's basically a model of regulation for Kratom to be produced responsibly and then regulated as such so that not just through the production but also through those who it serves, not to be given to people under 18. Now, I know that's something that people could debate about as to whether Kratom is safe for people under 18. I'm not going to venture to guess if it is or not. However, all I'll say is that I think that at a time when somebody's mind is really developing and, you're young, I know our minds develop all the way up through to our, mid to late 20s. But specifically, the early years are really important, and I feel like the less stuff you're putting in your body at that time, the better. So I'm all for it. I'm fine with that. Nobody having it under the age of 18. So that's kind of an overview of from 1,000 feet up. Now let's go from 100 feet up. Looking at the actual production. If you're going to be producing Kratom or selling products, you have to register through this act. There's a $260 fee. And once you do that, you're kind of agreeing to the terms of this act. And there's a number of terms in it, but let's go through a little bit. So, firstly, you need to disclose on the product label each Kratom product that the processor prepares, distributes, sells, or offers for sale. Basically just represent exactly what you're selling. Prohibited from selling to minors. A Kratom processor may not distribute, sell, or offer for sale a Kratom product to an individual under 18 years of age, and those who violate this law are subject to a Class C misdemeanor. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. Then it goes on and it goes into processor requirements, and this has criminal penalties if you don't follow through on this. A Kratom processor may not prepare, distribute, sell, or offer for sale a Kratom product that is any of the following: that is mixed or packed with a non-Kratom substance that affects the quality or strength of the Kratom product to such a degree as to render the Kratom product injurious, never seen that word before, injurious to a consumer, causing injury, I'm guessing. And that part's interesting because I have purchased Kratom before, which has Blue Lotus extract in it, and I cannot imagine at all that there's any harm in having that in there. But I do wonder if that would fall under this rule or not. It's not injurious, to say the least, but that does open up, the question of, well, what do you mean by affects the quality or strength of the Kratom product that it renders it injurious? I mean, if I took a bunch of Kratom without something in it, I could maybe injure myself, I guess, by the definition. So if I took it with the Blue Lotus extract in it, and I took way too much, I don't know. Anyway, the next thing. Can't sell a Kratom product that contains a poisonous or otherwise, harmful non-Kratom ingredient, including a controlled substance. Okay, here's the interesting one, which, if you listened yesterday, I kind of pulled out of that 8-factor analysis report that they were finding that 7-hydroxymetragenine, being 1 to 2% in the plant naturally is harmless, but when you take that as an extract or increase that substantially, it actually can cause harm. And I thought that was really interesting because, I don't know, that seems like a very major takeaway for me, that they actually found, more negativity associated with that alkaloid than with just metragenine. So this next rule in the Utah rules say that you can't sell a product that contains a level of 7-hydroxymetragenine in the alkaloid fraction that is greater than 2% of the alkaloid composition of the Kratom product. So they've got it. And this is before that research was published that we were reading yesterday. You can't increase that specific alkaloid more than it occurs naturally in the plant. And I'm all for that. I think that's fine. It can't contain a synthetic alkaloid, including synthetic metragenine, synthetic 7-hydroxymetragenine, or any other synthetically derived compound of the Kratom plant. And then finally, it says that it must include a product label that states the amount of metragenine and 7-hydroxymetragenine contained in the packaged Kratom product. Penalties. A Kratom processor who violates this subsection is guilty of Class C misdemeanor for each violation. Okay? So, I think that all those rules make sense. I think that you should know exactly what you're getting. Just like with other food packaging, there shouldn't be any misleading claims, and there shouldn't be anything that is in there that doesn't need to be, I guess would be the simple way of putting it. So I really like this, and I want to look into this further. I think it popped up last week when I was talking with our friend in Texas about the different ways of going about Kratom regulation in the future, if it's going to come to regulation, and how one idea I had was, regulating the actual production of it, and that way, keeping it open and free on the other end for the consumer. So there's a little bit of government oversight there, controlling what the products are, how they're, shaped and carried. And the consumers themselves kind of have free reign to purchase whatever they'd like on the other end. It's kind of seeming more and more to me like an ideal scenario if there's going to be any sort of government intervention in this product. So, yeah, super interesting. Would love to learn more about this model and the others that I've heard about. I wonder how they differ in the different states, that there's some sort of regulatory framework existing right now. And maybe that's something for another episode. I'm going to do a bit of a state-by-state analysis, so that'd be great. Okay, everybody. Please check out the Discord in the description. Also, if you want to contribute to this podcast, you can do so. There's a link in the description for that as well. Even just 99 cents would be super appreciated. Thanks so much. We are now at 300 listeners strong, so that is awesome. People keep tuning in, and thank you very much for doing so. Love having you here. All right, talk to you again tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.